Welcome to Powering Through Life, and I'm your host, Teresa Sims. Each week on Powering Through Life, my guest and I will discuss a special topic that is close to their heart. Together, we will explore the challenges they have faced in life and learn what strategies and tools they have used to power through their life. So welcome to Powering Through Life. So hi and welcome. Today I have an incredible guest, and her name is Terri J. Wright. And Terri is from San Antonio, Texas. Correct?
Yes, San Antonio.
Yes. Okay. Almost lost it there for a second. Terri helps successful clients struggling with their identity, time, and overwhelm to regain their true ambitions in life. She helps bring back balance into their lives the way they envisioned it when they were young. I mean, think back to when you were young and all the dreams and goals and plans we have. Sounds like a great thing to be working towards. And Terri's goal is to help her clients live, laugh, and love while living the life they've always dreamed of. So Terri, welcome to Powering Through Life. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you so much, Teresa. It's a great pleasure to be here today.
Well, I'm really excited about your topic because this is one that not a lot of people have experience with, but kind of you and I are both on the same page with this one. So Terri's topic today is pushing through adversity. Terri's story of tragic car accident and brain aneurysm. Oh my goodness, that's an incredible topic. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. It's, I've been through some challenging times, obviously, two life threatening situations. But, through both of them, I've always understood that I'm here for a reason. And I was able to pull through both of those situations and see the silver lining that I have been blessed with. So I started off with the car accident whenever I was 18, and it was very, very detrimental. I was, up in Fairbanks, Alaska. My parents were here in Texas. 2 days after I turned 18, I'm going to, rewind a little bit, Teresa. 2 days after I turned 18, I told my parents, I'm like, hey, you've raised a very responsible person. I'm moving to Fairbanks, Alaska to marry my high school sweetheart. And the car accident happened 19 days before our 1-year anniversary. My husband at the time was driving, and there were 9 people total in the car accident. It was a 3-car collision, but we were hit head on. So, it was really the 2 cars that had the biggest impact. And out of 9 people involved, 2 only survived, and I was one of them. So, I had intermittent amnesia for quite some time. And because my husband at the time was killed, the Army couldn't tell my parents until they could notify his next of kin, which was me.
Oh, goodness.
So now that I'm a mother, being a mother myself, I can only imagine what my parents went through when they found out, because that was back in 2000, before the internet was really even catching on. And, it was harder to find plane tickets, and just logistics were so much slower back in those days. So
it might have been a godsend in a lot of ways that the internet wasn't as popular, because then they could have possibly have seen images of the accident, not knowing that it was you, or that sort of thing. So there are blessings in disguise in that, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I've never thought of it that way, Teresa.
I'll leave it to me to come up with things like that. But I know when my accident occurred, my stepson had to come and get me. They thought the vehicle was drivable, but when he stood there and he saw me, he stood in the ambulance and he was looking at me, and his eyes were just like deer in the headlights, So I can imagine, coming upon that scene. He knew I was in there, but, if your parents had seen that image, that could have been not the greatest thing for them to see, but it didn't happen, right? So was the accident what inspired you to do what you're currently doing, Terri?
It inspired me to reach people, because once I realized that I was left on this earth for a reason, I wanted to make an impact. I knew that I had something to do, a bigger cause, something bigger than Terri. And so I started speaking back then. And, the thing about it is, and it was back then, it's not, I don't want the limelight. I don't need the accolades. It's me using my story to make a difference. Even if it's just one person's life that I touch, that's what truly drives me right now, to save one person from all of that pain and heartache.
Yeah, and that's what we do, kind of, as survivors.
Mm-hmm.
As we've been given incredible gifts. I agree that we've been saved for particular reasons, and we don't need to know what those reasons are. But if we take the gifts we've been given, then that's what we need to share them with the world. Mm-hmm. And talking about these stories does help. It helps not only us to come to terms with it and face the grief and the loss and all those other aspects, but it also, like you say, if it touches one person's life, then we've done something really well on this earth, I think.
Yes, definitely. I completely agree with that.
So you had more issues that went on after the accident, is that correct?
Yes, I did. So 15 years after the accident, I started having sinus infections. I mean, they were recurring over and over. I mean, I'd have 2 sinus infections in 1 month, so it really wouldn't clear up. Well, I thought they were sinus infections. Come to find out, it was a calcified brain aneurysm. Oh. And it was a result from the car accident, because I had a closed head injury and my brain was bleeding as a result from the car accident. So my neurosurgeon in 2015 said that it was, it was a slow growing aneurysm, and that's why it calcified.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard of that one. So was it the original bleeding? Had it kind of stopped, or was it still bleeding as time was going on?
Well, I guess it stopped, but because they released me from the hospital and all of that kind of stuff, and they followed up on me for the first year or two. But then after that, I moved around the state of Texas with my current husband and his jobs and promotions and all of that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. And I always told the doctors that I had a closed head injury, but I didn't go into the medical profession, so I didn't know the importance of asking the doctors to take images of my brain. I knew that it was important to tell them my medical history, but unfortunately, nobody followed up with images.
You would think that, you did your due diligence by telling them what you had, and it should have been almost a routinely thing yearly to do something like the images to check.
Right. Yeah, you would think. Exactly.
Yeah. But sometimes we get slipped through the cracks, and, stuff happens. So what went on after that?
So at that time, my 2 little girls, I have my current husband and 2 little girls. They were very anxious, because, the doctor told me that I had a 50% chance of survival, whether I had the surgery or not. And we're here in San Antonio, and me and my husband, we walk into the neurosurgeon's office. And, he was just shaking his head, because he has these nice big screens with the aneurysm up there on the wall. And he told me, he said, "You have a humdinger there." And I was like, that's not medical terminology. What do you mean?
No kidding.
Yeah, exactly. So me and
my opinion.
And looking back on it, I think that, he was trying to alleviate the situation a little bit, because it was a very tough message for him to deliver. Right. And he told me, he said, that's whenever he said I had a 50% chance whether I had the surgery or not, because of the size and location. And it's amazing now, Teresa, because not only was I having the sinus infections, but I don't know if I would say that I was losing the ability to speak, but every time I would start speaking, like sometimes just garbly goo would come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept telling my husband, I was like, something is wrong with me. And, he told me, he said, well, Terry, he said, I was starting a new job. I was 2 months into this new job, Teresa.
Oh.
And, I didn't qualify to keep my job, because I hadn't been there for 12 months. And so I was worried that I was going to lose my job and just all of this kind of stuff. So I was focused more on that than the survival, the living.
Right.
And, and so my husband was like, it's okay. It's just, it's because you're stressed. You're starting a new job. But I was like, this has never happened to me before. And I didn't know when garbly goo was going to come out or when like coherent words were going to, come out of my mouth. So, I mean, those were little telltale signs that you don't know until you're going through it.
Yeah.
Or, after the fact, because like I said, I felt like something was wrong, but I didn't know how necessarily to pinpoint that,
Yeah. It's such the brain is such a confusing area. You can tell them what's going on, but unless they look and look intensely and see what's going on. With my brain injury, it's my short-term memory is affected. So I have issues with that, and I know that. So I need to, do some exercises to try to commit things into the long-term memory, but doesn't always work. And you know what? I leave myself notes. People need to remind me. I forget things. You know what? It's all of who I am and what my journey is, and I can't help it, honestly. But there's so many different things that go on when you have a brain injury. So many different areas that are affected,
Mm-hmm.
So you went through the surgery, and obviously you came through with flying colors.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
I went through the surgery, and thank God I was able to keep my job.
Oh, good.
So that was amazing. But, Teresa, I went back and I was performing the motions.
Mm-hmm.
And, life got back to the same old rat race, living on autopilot. And then about a year and a half later, something was really tugging at me. And I feel that it was God saying, okay, you have a new mission in your life. You've always wanted to do this, make a difference in other people's lives. Well, I've given you, these two tragedies that you've pulled through, and those are huge testimonies to share with people. And Teresa, I started looking around at all of my peers and my friends and family, and they all told me, they're like, Terri, you're such an influence. You're such a strong person. And so that's what kind of fueled it that much more. I was like, I have so much more to give this world than auditing. And that's, what I was doing in my profession at the time, which granted, I felt like I was making a difference in this world by, bettering companies and taxpayers and all of that fun stuff. But I'm going to tell you, nothing has been so amazing. I never even imagined I would get such satisfaction out of my profession, as I am now, because it's an immediate impact. You can see it in people's eyes whenever, they either have that aha moment through coaching or even speaking engagements, whenever after the, speech is over, they come up and they talk to you and they tell you how it influences their life. You see that immediate impact, and that just gives me, the confidence and the assurance that I'm doing exactly what I'm here to do on earth.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So how did you know, Terri? I know I've been through this before, but how did you know, and at what moment did you decide that coaching was your niche? your give back to this, well, not give back, but your help to this world?
Well, I started out just wanting to do speaking engagements because that's what I did right after my car accident. Because we were hit by a drunk driver whenever I was up in Alaska and I turned 18 during that incident. And so I just, I'm kind of out of high school, and I remember all of the people who came in to give us speeches, they were in their 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the audience, and, I heard all of the, whispers and all of that kind of stuff in the audience. And people would say, well, they don't know what it's like, that they don't relate to us. So it was an immediate understanding that I need to get into the local schools, because a lot of kids don't understand that they aren't invincible and there are consequences for all of your actions. Yeah. And I knew that they would be able to relate to me because I was 19.
Right.
So I did that for 3 years. And so I immediately knew, like, once I started thinking about there was a different calling. I mean, I felt God was really calling me, into something different. I knew that speaking would be amazing. That would be an amazing way to impact a larger group of people.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I got my own coach. And whenever I started working with him, I realized that, wow, I mean, there's so much pain and heartache in this world. And so many people are living that fast-paced, robotic lifestyle. It's kind of like we're zombies, because it's, we're going through the motions, but we're not thinking, we're not feeling, and we're not present with others. And so we can't understand the downstream impacts that it has, not only on your life, your family and friends' lives, but on society's, lives as well. So it's kind of one of those things, Teresa, is like, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Very true. Yeah, very true. And, you're right about people being so caught up with the day-to-day stuff that they forget that they're supposed to be enjoying life, having fun, laughing and loving and sharing, and just, it's so serious all the time, isn't it? And if we just stopped, and this is what I learned in my recovery after my accident, was to just stop, smell the roses, go for a nice nature walk, reconnect with nature. We need to do more of that. Reconnect with family, reconnect with friends. It's the fast-paced treadmill gets us nowhere, really, in a hurry. And it's very unfulfilling too.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Because you're never satisfied. You always want more and more. And like you said, it's just getting back to basics, the simplicity of life.
Yeah, exactly. So what are you seeking to accomplish in your life, Terri?
So, like I said, even after the accident, I just wanted to be able to touch one person's life. And, that's how it is today. I just want to help everybody who, crosses my path. Whether it's just, that stranger, in the grocery store, that smile that, so they can see that ray of light in life. That's huge to me. But not only that, it's, you're a role model for everybody. Mm-hmm. And especially me, with 2 young daughters, I want them to look up to me, and I want to be, that influence, that shining light for others.
Right. And I'm sure you will have a great impact on them, because they are going to now have a different view, a different perspective on life itself. Not only what you went through, but because they're seeing their own worlds in different ways now too.
Yes.
So you are passing on an incredible gift to both of them, and that's lovely.
Well, thank you. Lovely. I appreciate that, Teresa.
So do you do a lot of speaking engagements still, and do a lot of coaching, I would assume?
Yes, I do. Anytime, and it's not just, for personal growth. I do business consulting as well. I like to help in that aspect because I did work in corporate America for so many years, and I like to be able to encourage during team building and then, leadership development
Oh,
as
fantastic.
well. Yes, to make sure that they're capitalizing on all of the assets that are brought to the table for the team.
Right. And I was going to ask you, but now that answered that question was about a niche market, right? But when you have such a vast background, there are so many different aspects you can touch on to help the whole person or to help the group of people to come through as stronger and much more connected than they possibly were in the past to make things happen, right?
Yes. Oh, definitely.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Where do you receive your support from, Terry? I have a feeling, but
Oh, goodness. Well, my number one is God, because He's given me this mission in life. And, as long as I obey and do what He's telling me to do, then it's all gonna, fit together. And then, of course, my husband and my family as a whole, they completely understand what my mission is, and coaching and doing the consulting as well. And, it's so amazing, and it's just a breath of fresh air seeing how my husband just allows me to do what I need to do to accomplish this mission.
yeah, and to have that support is incredible, and it's what we all need, right? I mean,
Yes,
we are independent women, but at the same time, it's nice to have that, or in women and men, it's nice to have that partner support.
yes, definitely.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, whether, yeah, it's fantastic to have that support. And in some cases, we don't have that, but that's okay because this is our mission, this is our journey, this is our path. But it can just be created that much more when we have support.
Yes, yes.
Terry, what are 3 points or 3 things that you would like to leave the listeners with, maybe to someone who is struggling after an incident or an accident and is going through their recovery? What 3 tips would you say you had used that would be important to the listener?
Number one is my faith. My faith is what pushed me through first and foremost, and knowing that I have a purpose. And so purpose, excuse me, purpose is number two, faith is number one, but that led me to understand that I have a purpose in life. And, I've got to strive as much as I possibly can to accomplish my purpose. And it's not, you have an overarching purpose, but you have a daily purpose as well. And, whenever it is something that's such a tragedy, you can just look at that daily purpose, just take the baby steps. It's like they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Very true. Very true. How did you know what your purpose was?
Um, wow.
Because I don't imagine it just popped up like that, or did it?
Let me think, because like I said, it goes back to, whenever I was so young, I knew I needed to make an impact on people's lives. And I'll be honest with you, I think it was my mom who brought up the possibility of speaking. And so she's the one that started, coordinating with Mothers Against Drunk Driving to, get me introduced to them. And then, I did local schools and even juvenile centers.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Sometimes, out of these horrific tragedies come gifts that we're given that we need to expand on. And I agree with you. We're here for a reason. I know I'm the same way because I've avoided death 3 times. And it took me till I was 50 something to figure out what my mission was. And I have never deviated from it. And I never will. and it's to help people. If they can, by listening to these videos or these recordings, if it helps one person to get through the day, we've been successful. And I'm so hoping that, sharing your story, and I know it will, change lives. It's a beautiful story, Terri. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Teresa.
Now, is there a favorite saying that you have that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Oh, yes. So I guess I came up with this probably about 5 years ago, right before I found out about the aneurysm. Whenever I was leaving, that one job to go to the new job, and I realized that life is full of stepping stones, full of, amazing relationships and opportunities. And we need to be able to, just cherish each and every one of those, because we're not promised tomorrow. And, like I said, it hit me. That was part of my speech leaving my last job. And that was right before I found out about the aneurysm. And so it's something that I think about every single day, to be able to cherish every single moment.
And experience it.
Yes.
You need to really live and experience and feel it throughout your body to know what gifts it can give you.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly. Just let it bypass or let it sit and then go. We need to really experience them, don't we?
Very true. Yes.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, I am going to make sure that all of your links and all of your email address and everything is up on the episode. So can you tell us quickly how the listeners can get in touch with you, Terri?
Yes, they can schedule time with me on my website at www.terrijwrightcoaching.com, or they can send me an email at terri@terrijwrightcoaching.com. And I know that that's long, so.
But it will be there, so they can just go and copy and paste and get in touch with you and ask questions. Learn more about Terri's incredible story. I mean, she has such a great presence. You glow. I can just feel it from you, and that is so fantastic. And I thank you so much for being with us today on Powering Through Life and for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much, Teresa.
Oh, I look forward to sharing your story, and we will probably have you back again, because I think there's some more that we need to chat about. Sound good?
That sounds great.
Wonderful. Well, take care, and thank you for Powering Through Life.
Same to you.
That brings to a close another great, inspiring interview on Powering Through Life. Thank you to my incredible guest for sharing your thoughts and wisdoms with our listeners. If you would like to connect with us, go to www.teresasims.com, and there you will also find all the previous segments from many amazing and inspiring people. Remember, don't be shy. Reach out if you have any questions, or just leave me a comment. So thank you once again for listening to Powering Through Life.